Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. Sharon Newman will find herself standing at the very edge of a revelation that could blow open the entire Newman universe when she finally pieces together the strange inconsistencies surrounding Holden's behavior, leading her into a deep dive through old emails, archived security logs from the ranch, and encrypted notes found on a forgotten laptop in the tack house, evidence she wasn't even supposed to have. Evidence she stumbled upon only because she trusted her instincts after too many nights of sensing that Holden's calm exterior masked something far more lethal underneath. And as Sharon opens the final locked folder, one labeled simply Project H, her breath will catch when she sees the hidden files that outline everything Holden has been doing in the shadows of Genoa City, from covert surveillance of Victor's inner circle to tracking the movements of every Newman who ever posed even the slightest threat to his supposed mission of protection. A mission that clearly isn't about protection at all but control, manipulation, and vengeance wrapped in a facade of loyalty. The deeper Sharon reads, the clearer it becomes that Holden has been operating with two identities, the charming confidant who earned Victor's trust and the cold strategist who believes the Newman empire must be reset by eliminating the weak links. Words typed by Holden himself in a chilling manifesto Sharon finds buried at the end of the files, a manifesto describing in disturbing detail how he intended to use Victor's resources, Victor's enemies, and Victor's own legacy to remake the family in his vision, and Sharon's hands will shake as she realizes that this isn't just betrayal but premeditated sabotage, a master plan developed over months, maybe years. Unable to keep this horrifying truth to herself, Sharon will rush to the ranch, still breathless, still terrified that Holden might already know she uncovered his plan, and when she storms into Victor's office, Victor will immediately notice the fear in her eyes, the urgency in her voice as she demands he sit down, that he prepare himself for something he never expected, and even though Victor Newman prides himself on being unshakable, the sight of Sharon trembling will make him brace for impact, so when she pulls up the files on her tablet and thrusts it toward him, Victor's expression will darken, his jaw flexing as he scrolls through page after page, each word sinking into him like a knife, each piece of evidence destroying the fragile trust he'd reluctantly granted Holden over the past months. Sharon will explain how she found the documents, how she decrypted the hidden folders, how everything in them matches patterns she noticed, the missing security footage during the attack on the ranch, the mysteriously delayed warnings about Claire's crisis, the strange coincidences surrounding Nikki's poisoning scare, all threads leading straight to Holden, and Victor, long silent, eyes burning with rising fury, will finally slam his hand on his desk, the sound echoing through the ranch as he roars that Holden dared betray him, dared infiltrate his family with such cold precision, dared operate right under his nose with the arrogance to think Victor Newman would never find out. But the next blow will come when Sharon reveals the final file, the one that makes Victor's blood run cold, labeled Phase 3, Remove Obstacles, a list of names including Nick, Victoria, Adam, even Summer and Noah, each categorized as emotional leverage or legacy liabilities, and Sharon will watch in horror as Victor grips the edge of his desk, veins visible, voice cracking with violent rage as he realizes Holden's obsession wasn't just with power, it was with reconstructing the Newman dynasty by force, one pawn at a time. Sharon will tell him that there's more, that Holden has already taken steps to isolate certain family members, to manipulate alliances, to gather personal weaknesses he could weaponize at any moment, and Victor, struggling between shock, wrath, and the deep humiliation of being played, will declare that this ends tonight, that Holden will pay for every calculated move, every hidden threat, every lie he spun while pretending to be loyal. Sharon, fully aware of how dangerous Holden has become, warns Victor that confronting him directly could lead to violence, that the files reveal Holden prepared for the possibility of being discovered and has escape plans, traps, and contingencies coded into every part of this twisted operation, but Victor refuses to be intimidated, insisting with steely certainty that no man threatens his family and walks away unpunished. Still, Sharon knows she cannot allow Victor to rush into a confrontation without understanding just how deep Holden's plot runs, so she scrolls to the surveillance section, revealing timestamps showing Holden inside sensitive areas at the ranch long after everyone thought he'd turned in for the night, videos of him rewriting logs, tampering with alarms, and even disabling Victor's private security system for short windows of time that coincide exactly with moments key Newman members were endangered. Victor's fury intensifies to a level even Sharon has rarely seen, and she urges him to breathe, to think, to let her help because she believes Holden still doesn't know the files have been accessed, meaning they might have one brief chance to act before he realizes his entire secret world is collapsing. Victor, struggling to rein in his explosive emotions, finally nods, acknowledging Sharon's bravery and intelligence, telling her that she may have just saved the family from devastation, but then his expression hardens even further as he says that this isn't just about exposing Holden anymore, it's about drawing a line in the sand, a final warning that no one, not even someone Victor once allowed into his inner circle, survives when they target his family. Sharon feels a chill as Victor stands, pulling up the files again, analyzing each section with the precision of a general preparing for war, and when he reaches the portion labeled psychological mapping, a section where Holden documented the vulnerabilities, traumas, and emotional triggers of the Newman clan, including secrets Sharon believed no one else knew, she gasps, realizing that Holden has been gathering information on her too, tracking her movements, her therapy sessions, her moments of weakness, and using them to craft conversations designed to earn her trust. Sharon's shock turns into anger as she whispers that Holden used her, manipulated her, made her believe he cared about the family's healing when he was really dissecting them piece by piece, and Victor, hearing the pain in her voice, vows that Holden will regret ever touching her life. Sharon then reveals the last horrifying piece, a recorded audio file of Holden speaking into a microphone, laying out his strategy in chilling detail, admitting he had no intention of letting the Newmans dictate the future, saying that if they would not evolve, he would make them evolve, even if it meant removing those who stood in his way. Victor listens to the recording with narrowed eyes, fists clenched, and when the final words play, Holden whispering, "The Newmans fall when they trust the wrong person," Victor erupts, swearing that Holden will face consequences he never imagined, consequences that will hit him harder than any enemy he has ever encountered. Sharon warns him again that Holden is dangerous, that he's armed, trained, and psychologically unstable, but Victor declares this is no longer about strategy but retribution, instructing Sharon to stay close, stay protected, because once he confronts Holden, there will be no turning back. Sharon, torn between fear and determination, agrees to help him prepare the necessary evidence for law enforcement, but Victor insists that before the police are involved, Holden will hear his final warning, a warning that Victor Newman doesn't get betrayed, he gets even. Sharon nods, realizing the storm that is about to hit Genoa City, a storm fueled by secrets, vengeance, and a man who dared to threaten the wrong family, and as she looks at Victor, his jaw tight, eyes blazing, she understands that Holden's world is about to crumble, that the truth she uncovered has not only exposed his darkest intentions but awakened a version of Victor Newman that no one, not even Holden, is prepared to face, and with the evidence now in Victor's hands, the entire landscape of the Newman Empire is about to change forever, setting off a war that will shake every corner of their lives. As Sharon whispers the words that seal Holden's fate, the truth is out, and now there's no going back. Holden's killer secret revealed. Holden Novak's killer secret will be revealed while Matt Clark aka Mitch Bacall returns to Genoa City. At the cottage, Noah Newman will demand to know what changed for Sienna Bacall since she suddenly wants to leave town. After Noah wonders if Claire Newman or Sharon Newman said something, Sienna will insist the decision is hers alone. There'll be a debate over whether it's safer for Sienna on the Newman compound or away from the place where Matt's likely to pop up. After Sharon steps outside with Nick Newman, she'll confess to having a very direct conversation with Sienna and perhaps driving her away. Back with Noah, he'll insist he's fallen in love with Sienna and will get confirmation that she's fallen in love with him, too. Sienna won't think that's a good thing since she's got a psychopath husband who wants Noah gone for good, but he'll insist he can handle it. If Sienna insists on leaving GC, Noah will vow to go with her. In the end, Noah will convince Sienna to stick around for a few days while they figure out their next move, so they'll give Sharon and Nick updates on that news. Meanwhile, Matt will resurface outside the athletic club. As Matt makes his Genoa City comeback, he'll mutter about forgetting how much he hated this place. At Crimson Lights, Kane Ashby will make plans to meet Lily Winters in the GCAC foyer before the launch party. As Kane says he'll see Lily soon, Phyllis will eavesdrop and confront Kane once Lily's gone. Phyllis will take jabs over Kane acting all cozy with Lily again before they start barking threats at each other. However, Phyllis will make it clear that she's not intimidated by Kane and that he doesn't scare her. Kane and Phyllis will keep bickering on the patio until she finally admits she stole the AI program. Phyllis will confess to using it as a bargaining chip to get what she wanted and assure Kane that she was using him, too. Although Phyllis will accuse Kane of sleeping with her to get a confession, he'll insist he slept with her knowing what she did. Phyllis will nearly slap Kane, but he'll pull her in for a passionate make-out session instead. At the GCAC, Lily will find Audra Charles at bar and start a confrontation with her. Nate Hastings will come along and try to ease the tension, but Audra will insist Lily's going to be sorry she crossed her. After Audra takes off, Nate will suggest he's moving on and it's best just to let all the Audra drama go. Although Lily won't get why Audra's even in town anymore, she'll worry that they'll never be rid of her. Audra will make her way to the park and spend some time alone with her thoughts. Friday's YNR episode will also bring some flashbacks for Audra as she recalls the rest of the Los Angeles story. It turns out that when Audra booked her ticket to London, her friend at the airport told her that her name was flagged in the system. Richard aka the drunk guy Audra stole from reported Audra for the theft and had friends in high places. Audra went back to Holden to seek help with a new identity that would help her with a fresh start in London. However, Richard came along while Audra was talking to Holden and threatened to rough her up if he didn't get his money back. Holden wound up punching Richard hard and knocked his head into the bar. Although Holden didn't mean to kill Richard, Audra realized he wasn't moving and that blood was pooling around him on the floor. As Victor absorbs every horrifying detail of Holden's files, his mind races, calculating every angle, every potential weakness, every vulnerability that Holden has exposed not just in the family, but in the security of Newman Enterprises itself, and Sharon watches him, understanding that she has never seen him this focused, this ruthless, this ready to unleash a storm the likes of which Genoa City has never witnessed, and as he paces the room, muttering to himself about betrayal, manipulation, and lies, Sharon realizes that the files are more than evidence, they are a roadmap, a guide to Holden's psyche, and if used correctly, they can dismantle his entire operation before he even has a chance to react. Victor stops abruptly, eyes blazing, and turns to Sharon with a look that mixes gratitude and ferocity, declaring that she did more than uncover the truth. She handed him the weapon he needs to take control, to protect his family, and to send a message to anyone foolish enough to think they can cross a Newman without facing obliteration, and Sharon, though still trembling from the enormity of what she has discovered, nods, knowing that the next steps are crucial, that every move must be precise, that Holden is not just clever but dangerous, a man who thinks in layers, who anticipates the reactions of those around him, and who has likely already prepared contingencies for moments exactly like this. She tells Victor that she has copies of the encrypted emails, hidden security logs, and even the audio manifestos he compiled, but that she didn't touch the final section of the files, the part labeled contingency measures, because it contains instructions for his own protection, coded warnings, and possibly traps he set in case someone ever accessed the evidence, and Victor listens intently, nodding as he realizes that Holden's foresight is terrifying, that this is a man who has literally thought of every move, every counter, every betrayal, and Victor's jaw tightens as he vows that even with all the preparation, Holden will not escape justice, that this is a reckoning, and Sharon watches as he begins to make calls, arranging security reinforcements, alerting trusted allies, and even sending discreet messages to law enforcement contacts to prepare for the fallout, all while keeping Holden in the dark, all while keeping the upper hand firmly in Victor's grasp. Meanwhile, Sharon can't help but replay in her mind all the interactions she had with Holden, every subtle manipulation, every feigned concern, every smile that hid a deadly agenda, and she realizes that he was grooming her, testing her, using her empathy as a weapon, and the betrayal feels personal, cutting deeper than anything she has ever endured, but she channels that anger into action, assisting Victor with identifying the most vulnerable points in Holden's operations, pointing out the files that reveal his patterns, his alliances, and even his personal obsessions that can now be leveraged to destabilize him before he has a chance to strike, and Victor, impressed by her insight, admits that without her courage and intuition, none of this would have been possible, and Sharon feels a bittersweet pride, knowing that she has not only uncovered the truth but also helped set in motion the beginning of the end for a man who thought himself untouchable. As night falls over Genoa City, Victor begins to assemble a plan of confrontation, a multi-layered strategy designed to draw Holden into a trap he cannot escape, using both legal maneuvers and psychological warfare, and Sharon prepares herself for the role she must play, knowing that Holden is unpredictable, potentially violent, and willing to take desperate measures to maintain his control, and together, they map out every possible scenario, every contingency, every potential ally and enemy, constructing a network of intelligence and counterintelligence that will either corner Holden completely or expose them to unforeseen danger. And as they work, Sharon can't shake the image of Holden's calm, confident face, the same face that has betrayed, manipulated, and endangered so many, and she steels herself, telling Victor that they must act quickly before Holden catches on to the fact that his secrets are out in the open, and Victor agrees, emphasizing that timing is everything, that one wrong move could allow Holden to vanish, destroy evidence, or worse, harm someone they love. Hours later, they refine the plan, assigning roles to trusted allies, coordinating signals, and rehearsing the confrontation in meticulous detail, each scenario more dangerous than the last, each decision carrying immense weight, and Sharon realizes that this is no longer just about Holden's betrayal, it's about survival, about protecting the Newman legacy, about ensuring that no one else suffers because of his calculated cruelty. And as the first light of dawn creeps through the blinds of Victor's office, they know that the day ahead will be pivotal, that the confrontation will test every ounce of their cunning, resilience, and courage, and Sharon, still clutching a copy of the final evidence, feels a surge of determination, ready to face the man who has destabilized her world, knowing that the truth she uncovered is both her shield and her weapon. Victor, pacing now with a rare intensity, reviews the files once more, mentally rehearsing his approach, recalling every betrayal, every manipulation, every hidden agenda Holden has enacted against the family, and he vows that when the confrontation comes, Holden will see the full extent of his wrath, and the full depth of Victor's protective obsession with his family, and Sharon, witnessing his resolve, feels both fear and reassurance, understanding that Holden is about to face consequences he cannot anticipate, and that the evidence she unearthed is the linchpin in a battle that will determine the fate of everyone she loves. The tension in the air is palpable as Victor contacts his most trusted allies, Nick, Adam, and even Nikki, to bring them into the fold, carefully briefing them on what Sharon discovered, what they now know about Holden's secretive operations, and what steps must be taken to secure the family. And as each piece of the puzzle is revealed to the inner circle, a collective sense of disbelief and outrage sweeps over them, the realization that Holden has been operating under their noses, manipulating, observing, and plotting with chilling precision, and yet, despite the shock, a determination emerges, a shared commitment to ensure that Holden cannot continue to harm them or their legacy, and Sharon, observing the group's transformation from stunned victims to proactive strategists, feels a glimmer of hope that perhaps, with careful planning and unity, they can finally neutralize the threat that has loomed over them for far too long. As the day unfolds, Victor executes the first phase of his plan, placing traps, creating diversions, and deploying surveillance measures designed to flush Holden out, while Sharon monitors every communication, every movement, every subtle shift that could indicate Holden's awareness or suspicion, and the tension builds with every passing hour, each moment bringing them closer to a confrontation that will test their courage, wits, and resolve. And yet, despite the danger, Sharon feels an odd sense of empowerment, knowing that the truth she uncovered is now a weapon in the hands of the Newman family, and that Holden's carefully constructed world is now on the brink of collapse. And when Holden finally senses that something is amiss, when his careful manipulations begin to unravel, when his allies begin to question his motives, he will realize too late that Victor and Sharon have turned his own tactics against him, using the evidence he thought he controlled as the key to dismantling his empire. And Sharon, anticipating his shock and fury, steels herself, ready to confront him directly, ready to demand answers, ready to ensure that justice is served. And as the sun sets over Genoa City, casting long shadows over the Newman ranch, Sharon and Victor stand side by side, united in purpose, prepared to face the man who once threatened to destroy them from within, and knowing that the coming hours will determine not just Holden's fate, but the future of the Newman family itself, and that the truth, finally uncovered, will no longer be a secret, but a weapon capable of ending a nightmare that has haunted them far too long. And in that moment, Sharon realizes that her courage, her tenacity, and her relentless pursuit of the truth have not only exposed Holden's darkest secrets, but have also given the Newmans a chance at survival, a chance to reclaim their lives, their legacy, and their power. And as she looks at Victor, she sees a man transformed by rage, by love, and by the desire to protect everything he holds dear, and she knows that together, they will confront Holden, expose him, and ensure that justice is not just done, but seen to be done, and that Holden will never, ever underestimate the Newman family again, because the truth is now out, and the consequences are about to be devastating.